this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. And don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. I can help you with anything. And if you like exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my Patreon. Okay, let's get into this video. Now, I'm going to read you this part from a book, which is called Tools for Tantra by Harish Johari. Really amazing book. One of the ones that was recommended by a tantric guru that I learned a lot from. So I'm going to read you this part about Kali, which is Kundalini energy, because this will answer the question why some people have negative experiences when it comes to Kundalini, or frightening experiences. There is a lot of negative connotation about the Kundalini energy, and that is because of ignorance and not understanding what it really is. Now, when your Kundalini starts awakening, you're going to have to get rid of everything that you thought you were and that you have, basically, because everything that you acquired in your life so far was through the Maya and through the illusion of who you thought you really were. So once you start to actually awaken, you're going to realize that you were attached to so many things that weren't you. And chances are you're going to have to completely start over. And that's something that people rarely talk about, because I don't think they actually experience these things. And I'm telling you this from my experience and from my knowledge as well. But as someone who does practice Tantra, I can tell you, even before I was practicing Tantra, my Kundalini started waking up. And once you start waking up, like for me personally, my life completely changed. And this will happen with the aid of transits as well. Everything I was, I am no longer, because that wasn't me. That was in ignorance. So I'm going to read you this part. The Sanskrit word kala is death on one hand and time on the other. Everything in its phenomenal world is time-bound. When a being's time is over, its Shakti is gone and the being is dead. Death, in other words, is the endpoint in time of the life force prana. Matter is neither created nor destroyed. It only changes form. Death is therefore a change or transformation. Kali is the goddess of transformation, which is essential for the renewal of the energy of the life force and spiritual growth. Attachment to the material form, the physical body, causes fear of death. This is a basic fear rooted deep in our brainstem, and the primitive brain is the basic obstacle in the path of spiritual growth. Now, I'm just going to comment here. This is how you can tell if someone is awakened or not. The person that used to post pictures of themselves and their body and everything, trying to show off themselves, that is no longer, because you no longer have that attachment. That is ego. There's a lot of teachers that teach about spiritual detachment but are still in ego, and themselves as a sexual being. That's still attachment. They still have that fear of death. Okay, we'll keep going. Shump and Nishump are demonic forces of attachment, threatening our spiritual helpers and forcing them out of their abode. Invoking Kali by these spiritual forces can bring an end to this threat. Kali thus removes the fear of death, the basic insecurity of the first chakra. For the ignorant ones who are attached to their physical body and are eternally insecure, she is ferocious, but for the gods, the spiritual forces, she is Gauri, who has assumed the form of Kali to help them. In that ferocious form, she conquers the demonic forces of false attachment, which are Shum and Nishum, Chand and Mood. Now, if I pronounce anything wrong, I apologize. This is not my language, but I'm learning it. So the sadhik of Tantra has to confront his or her Shum and Nishum, and throughout evoking Kali, Kundalini, the sadhik can escape the clutches of fear and death. The love of Kali removes this fear and opens up the door of knowledge, the mahavidya of eternity. The physical body is dependent upon prana flowing through the left and the right nostrils, or the Ida and Pingala, so called because they excite the workings of the Ida and the Pingala nadis when active. The Ida and Pingala nadis originate in the Muladhara chakra, first chakra, with Sushumna, and terminate in the left and right nostrils respectively. By pranayama, The prana is controlled and the passage of Susamna Nadi is open. In an individual, prana is breath, but it is the same prana or pranic force that pervades the cosmos as time, movement, or frequency. By mastering the prana, the yogi becomes free of the bondage of time. Idha and Prigala, the lunar and solar currents which keep the sadhak time bond and create in him the fear of death. Susuma is beyond time. It goes across the brain stem to the cerebral cortex, the seat of consciousness, where matter is transformed into consciousness. When the prana is made to flow through the Sushumna, the evil forces of lunar and solar currents are paralyzed and the Kundalini is awakened from its deep sleep. She rises up through the Brahmandi, which is the center of the Shumana, and pierces the 6 chakras, dissolving the 5 basic elements into their source, the Mahat. The basic elements are the material constituents of the physical body. Any attachment to these elements in any form, desire, creates a terrifying Kundalini experience. When the material attachments are removed by purification, Kali, Kundalini, the primary force, is pleased and seeks sadhik and is able to have a pleasant Kundalini experience, which leads him beyond tavas and beyond gunas to the realm of anada, which is bliss, and transcends him into the region of eternity, beyond time-bound consciousness, where there is no fear of death. Kali is therefore the mahavidya that removes the avidya, which is ignorance, that makes us fear death. She is the first mahavidya, also known as Adya, the firstborn, one of the names used for Kundalini Shakti. So you see, those who have very frightening experiences and who are afraid of the Kundalini is because they were so attached to the physical world and who they really thought they were. Attachment brings suffering. When you start awakening that, like I said, you're going to have to get rid of all these things. I went from being a rapper to teaching the Vedas. This wasn't a conscious decision. For me, it wasn't something that I was like, oh, one day I'm going to be an astrologer and I always wanted to be an astrologer since I was young. No, I never even thought about that. After realizing and being able to read my chart, that was actually my soul's purpose. So once it starts awakening you, it's going to bring you to your soul's purpose, and it's going to be something that you probably didn't expect. But before that awakening, there's a loss, which is Ketu, is loss in spirituality. So a lot of people forget that when your Kundalini awakens, they think that they're going to be rich. And then everything is so easy for them because they're like a god now. No. There's a time you're going to have to get rid of everything you thought you were. So that becomes a very dark night of the soul. And then once you start understanding, you're going to become who you really are. But you're still going to not want to have these attachments. You're going to be living more of a minimal life. It's not saying that you can't have material things. Yes, you can have material things, but you won't have this attachment to it. You're not going to be that person that wants 10 cars. You're not going to be that person that wants 20 homes and all of this stuff. You're not going to be that person flexing on social media of all your possessions and things like that and posting pictures of yourself 10 times a day and stuff like that. You're not going to be that person. You're going to be a person that goes within. That is a misconception. So those who are completely attached to these things, it's going to be a hard time because who you thought you were was so based on the superficial things. And now it's time to get rid of everything that was blocking you. And sometimes that means all your possession, your job, your relationship. These things are only to be done by those who are ready. That's why she's a fierce goddess. She's not going to let you live an unauthentic life, and change will happen sudden. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in the next one.